What's up, guys? Here with you, FC Wonderkid, episode 144. Here with my guy, Brenton. How are you?
Doing great. Doing a lot better than Calvin Phillips. His West Ham career is not off to a great start now, is it, Alex? But that's not what we're here to talk about. And that's an easy win for me to take. But we are here to talk about a whole lot of things in episode 144. I love talking about Wonderkids, but I even like more talking about underrated players that don't get the love. So I don't know. Where do you want to launch into first?
So
Alex?
I think the first topic of FC Wonderkid that we prepped, it's the best leagues, the top European leagues. People need an update. And here at FC Wonderkid, we're going to do the update of the top 7 European leagues, who we think are going to win the top 7. And even not the bottom, who's going down. It's just who's winning. We're going to start with the best league in Europe, the Premier League right now. Who do you believe is going to win it, Bretson?
Okay. Liverpool with all those injuries, it's been wonderful watching them kind of come back. Connor Bradley's back. You've got guys that are actually stepping up and doing some great things. Darwin Núñez looks wonderful. But momentum is momentum, Alex. Momentum is momentum. And the kings of momentum, especially at this time of year, I hate to be a sad sack. I hate to be a guy that just kind of capitulates, but it's Manchester City. Manchester City, for me, are the favorites. They're unfortunately way too close for comfort if you're Liverpool fans, if you're Arsenal fans. So it's really going to come down to those head-to-heads, right? Those head-to-heads, and whether or not one of them can knock Manchester City down a peg. But for me, I can't look past it. Arsenal can beat up on Burnley all they want. I'm still kind of looking at this and saying, Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Erling Haaland, it screams another Premier League win, another notch in the belt of Pep Guardiola. What do you say?
I agree with you. Man City will become the first team ever in the history of the Premier League to win 4 consecutive Premier League titles. And it makes sense when you have greatness in your team with Haaland, with De Bruyne, with a Kyle Walker that is the best right back ever in the Premier League, and obviously with one of the best managers ever, and for many, the best, Pep Guardiola. Man City, I think, will do just that. I put Man City first, I put Liverpool second, and I put Mikel Arteta third. Arsenal fans, I do believe that Arsenal are with a better team this season than last season, but you are going against Liverpool with Jurgen Klopp. That it's his last season. It's his last season ever at the club. It's very hard to beat. Very hard to beat. And I saw Jamie Carragher saying something that I want to point fingers. Arsenal are one of the toughest grounds at home to play against. I completely agree. But to say that Arsenal beats Bayern Munich and PSG right now, I am not sure. Inter Milan even, I am not sure too. Definitely more difficult home grounds right now than the Emirates. It's Santiago Bernabeu and the Etihad Stadium with Man City. Rodri, Haaland, De Bruyne, when they're fully assembled, Man City is scary in the Etihad. Real Madrid felt that. The Emirates still hasn't done something like that. And I don't believe in the Champions League they're going to do that. Do you believe, Bretton?
Well, it's still early stages of Arsenal back in the Champions League. You got to give them time. But if there is ever a time to show it, it is now.
It's now. Saka with 22, Odegaard 25, Saliba.
Yeah.
So, are we going to see it? That's what I'm...
Well, I am not prepared to say that we are. No. I am not prepared to, let alone I'm not even entirely sure what the question is. So the question is are we going to see the Emirates turn into a bona fide fort? Is that what you're saying?
Will Arsenal beat Porto in the Emirates?
Oh, I mean, I already answered this the other day. I didn't know that was a specific question we're going back over there, Alex. I mean, yeah,
that's rude.
Arsenal will beat Porto in the Emirates. That's not rude. That's just simply saying. I thought we were just talking about the Premier League, sir. But yeah, Arsenal will beat Porto, just like we said in the predictions the other day. I absolutely think so.
I was just mentioning the Champions League because I feel it's important with the Premier League too. But I'll give you another example why I feel it's important. Liverpool, I feel, will finish above Arsenal because they're going to have the momentum in the Europa League too. Liverpool right now are in 4 competitions right now. They're in the final of the League Cup. They're in the Europa League that I believe Liverpool are going to win it. A final in Dublin. The Irish influenced Liverpool fans. They want it to happen, and it's poetic. Klopp's first final to be the last one too, and him winning it when he lost to Sevilla in the past. So I think the fact that Liverpool have this momentum of winning in the Europa League will help them a lot in the Premier League too. And Salah, I think it will be the final year of Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool and the final year of Mo Salah. Mo Salah has 204 goals for Liverpool, the top goal scorer ever in the Premier League. That's absolutely mad, and for me, the best African player ever. We saw the impact today when he comes back of AFCON, 1 goal, 1 assist. He wasn't present against Arsenal. He's going to be now a consistent rock until the end of this season. So I was just mentioning the Champions League because of the momentum phase. I'm sorry, Breton.
Yeah, well, they're all fighting multiple fronts, and Liverpool, as of right now, is still in the lead. While Manchester City has 2 games in hand, they still have to win those games. It's just momentum makes it almost feel certain, almost as if they cannot lose, and that is not necessarily true. Liverpool, my biggest worry is how long is Alexander-Arnold out, and whether or not Connor Bradley can pick up the slack, if you will. And not odds are, but early signs are, even after losing his father, even after going through the trauma of that, Connor Bradley is definitely rip-roaring ready to go. And you can tell that he is playing as if it's somebody that's playing out of respect for somebody else.
True.
That gave him the opportunity to play on the world's biggest stage. So I'm rooting for Liverpool to succeed in all avenues. I think mainly because of the sentimentality of the fact that it is Klopp's last year, right? So I want them. I mean, City, even with the world-class players, even with De Bruyne out and De Bruyne in. I mean, 3 losses on this season. It's not to say you can't pile 3 more on. Somebody has to put together within the Premier League, has to put together one of those TKO type of situations, one of those punches in the guts that puts Manchester City on standby. But as of right now, I don't know who that is. And Liverpool's depth is getting tested again. And yeah, you're right. Multiple fronts will do that. Arsenal is coming back, though. Only Arsenal and Manchester City have not lost a game in, I think, their last 5 or plus. I know Manchester City is much longer than that, but Arsenal has bounced back very nicely, and we'll see if they can continue to do more damage. But yeah, I've got the exact same thing. I've got Manchester City on the top, I've got Liverpool in second, and I've got Arsenal in third to end the year. And Spurs, man, any real chase that they had, any real momentum they had, was just killed by Wolverhampton.
Man United fourth?
Yeah, I mean, Villa's got 8 points, and I know United's got a game in hand. It's going to be tough. But Villa just lost Boubacar Kamara for the rest of the season, so I don't know.
If Man United finish 4th, it's Rasmus Winter-Højlund, Kobe Maino, and Garnacho showing that they're chasing greatness in the Premier League. Omar Berrada will definitely know these 3 stay. And these 3 are the future of this team. I believe that's a long shot, but it can happen. And that's the saving of Erik ten Hag.
Right, it is. But with Manchester United's back line at the moment,
I agree.
No, it's not
completely.
Not
completely.
I
mean, going with what you said too, Man City win the Premier League because they're the team with the most champions and winning mentality players. Ruben Dias, Kyle Walker, Bernardo Silva, Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne. The constant reconstruction that Pep Guardiola conducts with this squad, year in, year out, it's greatness in full showing, full display. And I completely respect that. And that's why I believe they're going to win the Premier League. And going with what you said too, my last thing on Liverpool. Liverpool right now, injuries, a lot. Diogo Jota, Curtis Jones, Szoboszlai, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Alisson, okay? They beat Brentford first time ever away. Okay, it's a big and it was a big showing. I loved the game that Liverpool conducted against Brentford, but still, these are a lot of players that will be critical in the big time games. And my last thing to show the greatness of Jurgen Klopp, it's Jurgen Klopp, like the top defenders ever in Premier League history in terms of assists. It's Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson. 58 assists for Trent and 57 for Robertson. How much did they cost Liverpool? Less than 10 million. 9 million they cost. A whole city Robertson to go to Liverpool and an academy player. Jurgen Klopp made this happen, and that's the full greatness of Jurgen Klopp. He doesn't have the funds of a Man United, of a Man City, of an Arsenal, but he does have the intelligence to bet on the right players. I wanted to give a special shout out because we felt Robertson very important in this game against Brentford.
Absolutely, and the crazy thing is they've tried Tsimikas, they've tried others on the wings. Obviously, Joe Gomez has played everywhere in that back line, but Jurgen Klopp may have handed whoever his successor is a longtime successor to Trent Alexander-Arnold in the form of Connor Bradley. In that Brentford game, I loved every bit of what I saw. It is early season on Connor Bradley, but come on, 3 games. He's got, 3 assists in it, I think, and a goal, something like that, 3 Premier League games. It's going to be a very, very interesting changing of the guard at Liverpool, and that is something that I don't think we're all prepared for. We're not. We're definitely not prepared for it. We don't even know who the next boss is going to be. And who are the odds-on favorites, right?
I think it's as obvious as Real Madrid getting Kylian Mbappe. I think Xabi Alonso is going to Liverpool. And honestly, if we know Jurgen Klopp is the culture of Liverpool right now. He's going to have a hand in whoever comes after him. He's going to say, who's going to beat Bayern Munich in this beating? Crazily, Bayern Munich. Yeah. It's Xabi Alonso. Yeah. Xabi Alonso is the right successor for Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool because he's going to be the first man since Jurgen Klopp to beat Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga. I completely believe that. Unbeaten until now, and that 3-0 win. You saw it. The Bayern Munich players saw it too. Greatness.
Yeah. Well, that's probably a good segue, right, to the next league that we might do.
Yes.
But yeah,
Bundesliga.
I mean, and just to confirm, not to confirm, but just to support your assertion that it will be Xabi Alonso. I don't think it was I don't think it was a coincidence that Jurgen Klopp this whole past week has been waxing poetic about Xabi Alonso and what he has done at Bayer Leverkusen.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not entirely sure, that was definitely maybe a nod to who they're going after. And they'd be stupid not to, in my opinion. Although they're going to be conducting, I think, a very incredibly thorough interview and where this team is going to go. But anyway, on to the next league, sir, because we're only into 1 of 7, so we got 6 more to do.
And it's going to be much faster, but let us know down below your thoughts on who's going to win the Premier League and the next leagues that we're going to talk. We like to see your support down below in the comment section, and like this video if you're enjoying until now. So Bundesliga, the second. Do you agree with me? I believe Bayer Leverkusen are going to win the Bundesliga. Xabi Alonso has had an absolute masterclass. The only unbeaten team in the top 5 leagues right now. Grimaldo has been one of the best left backs I've ever seen in the Bundesliga. Unreal the impact he's had. A special position, a unique position that only a player like Grimaldo's capability could do. And Frimpong. Grimaldo and Frimpong are right now the best duo of wingbacks in the world. No one can debate that. Frimpong has 9 goals, 10 assists, and Grimaldo 10 goals, 10 assists. Both are going to be very important for their teams in the Euros. More Frimpong. This has a 40 million release clause this summer. Frimpong is going to leave 100%. Premier League teams all going to be fighting for this player. Physically strong, very good offensively, and he's very, very fast. What a player with Xabi Alonso.
Yeah, and somebody that could potentially follow him wherever he might wind up in the future. But 18 wins, 4 draws, 22 games. Here's the thing. There's plenty of time left, and there's not enough space between Leverkusen and Bayern Munich. There is one small Arsenal-like 3-game form hiccup, right, away from Harry Kane and Bayern Munich getting back on the horse and getting back into the lead. So it could come down to, I don't think this is going to be a Napoli run away with it type of situation. I think this is going to come down to the final match day between Bayer Leverkusen, between Bayern Munich. But the thing here is that it's no longer a head-to-head type of situation where Bayern's going to try and 6-point swing their way back to the top. They're going to have to do it. Bayer Leverkusen is going to have to take it home all the way, and they don't see the behemoths. They don't see the giants that are Bayern Munich, the 11-time in a row champions, again before the end of the season. So it is their title, 100%, to lose.
Yep.
I am a little more skeptical, or I'd say a lot more skeptical than you are, that they're going to be able to do it, because once maybe one wheel falls off, you have two or three. I don't want to think that way, but I am going to say that they do hold on by the skin of their teeth, and Bayer Leverkusen wins the Bundesliga this season. And the last 2-3 weeks is what has kind of put me over the hump to be able to consider that as a possibility, because they've been doing this without Palacios, who arguably before this was their most important player, obviously next to their wing backs, and they've been doing it without Victor Boniface, and they've been doing it, frankly, without a proper striker backup. Patrick Schick started hot, has slowed down some. Adam Hlozek has not impressed at all. Florian Wirtz has even slowed down a little bit as of late, but it doesn't matter when your best offensive threats are your wingbacks.
But I agree. I agree completely. And the build-up play is completely through the wingbacks. And against Bayern Munich, we didn't see a striker. But I wanted to ask you this. I think it's easier if I'll ask you this question, Breton. Do you believe Bayer Leverkusen will be unbeaten in the Bundesliga until the end of the season?
No.
I believe they will be unbeaten in the Bundesliga. In the Bundesliga. I don't mean in all competitions. I think Liverpool are favorites to win the Europa League. But in the Bundesliga, I think they're chasing greatness. And this mentality of it's now or never. It's now that we have to beat Bayern Munich. And even, I think Xabi Alonso thinks, if I'm leaving the Bundesliga, it's to another team, to Liverpool. I'm not going to another Bundesliga team. I think he wants to leave Bayer Leverkusen as a legend of the team, as a manager. Because as a player, he's a Bayern Munich legend. And you never know. Maybe in the future, if it doesn't go right at Liverpool, we don't know. The ball is round. Everything is possible. But I am more leaning through that he's going to do well at Liverpool. But my first is, yes, Bayer Leverkusen. Second, Bayern Munich. And third, I am going with Dortmund. I think Dortmund they're stepping up at the end of the season. And fourth, Leipzig. Okay, so RB Leipzig, Xavi Simons.
They're looking okay these days. But if we go back to my predictions, am I the one? I think I had Leverkusen in second this season. We were not necessarily convinced that Xabi Alonso was going to.
We had top four, Xabi Alonso. I had third, Leverkusen.
Top four. That's right. And just to again. Okay, and just to support your claim here, right? I am looking at their final fixtures, and there's a lot of home games, and their away games are against relatively weak teams, which I think is kind of a trap. That's bait, right? As they like to say. But their biggest fixtures away are going to be the Yellow Wall, Sigil Iduna, Dortmund away.
Is now back, but that will be in April, right? That's when Boniface is back. So I do think that they'll have all the factors. And another thing, too, just like we saw with Leicester, just like we're going to see with Girona, Bayer Leverkusen stars are all going to leave. Frimpong's going to leave. Florian Wirtz is going to leave. Xabi Alonso's going to leave. And Victor Boniface most probably is going to leave, too. A lot of talent in all these players. But, again, we're seeing greatness. And when we see greatness, a lot of teams want a piece of it. So that's why a lot of these players are going to be leaving. But, again, please watch Bayer Leverkusen if you have the chance. It's worth the watch in the Bundesliga. Wherever you live, watch what Xabi Alonso is doing with three center backs. And quite impressed, too, with how Schalke is playing with Palacios when they play together. So Bundesliga, we said our prediction. Premier League 2. Now, La Liga. What are your predictions, Brendan, in the top four?
My La Liga predictions are pretty simple here. I think Real Madrid have made it abundantly clear that they are the top horse when they shellacked Girona. And I think, those that are behind Atleti, Barcelona are too far behind that even if they make a late charge, they're not catching Real Madrid. So Real Madrid, I will go in first. I will go Girona, holds on in second. I'm going to say Atleti third. I'm going to say Atleti third. And then I will say Barcelona fourth.
Come on, Breton. I think the final season of Xavi. Come on.
I know.
Fourth.
Well, Xavi made it clear that no matter what he did the rest of this season, he's out. And when it comes down to it, I don't necessarily feel like he's going to keep the verve and excitement and the potential of what could be when he's already got one foot out the door, metaphorically. So I just that's why it irks me, Alex. It irks me that he made this decision after a bad run of form, and then he even retrospectively or retroactively said, "Oh yeah, I've been thinking about this since the beginning of the season." I don't like what Xavi did, and I don't like how he did it, and I'm not ashamed to say it, because I think Barcelona fans deserve better, and they certainly deserve better from a legend. Now, Xavi might feel still like he's doing Barcelona a service here.
Yes.
You don't do that mid-season, man. You don't do that mid-season. No, you don't.
It's the toughest job in football, Barca. I think
Yeah,
Pep Guardiola
it is.
even said it too. But I agree that it's not a best showing. I think it's the final season of Lewandowski. I think a reset button is going to happen. I'm very curious to see who's going to be the next Barca manager, being honest. But my La Liga predictions is Real Madrid to win it. Before they get Kylian Mbappe, they're going to win La Liga. Oh, my days. Second position, Girona, because I do think they're doing something great, City Group, with that scouting. Third place, I'm going to put Barca. And fourth, Atletico de Madrid. I'm sorry, Atletico fans. I'm going to go with Xavi saying it's his last season. And it's motivation for Lamine Yamal, for even a Pau Cubarsí that can have an influence there. But I just wanted to say on Real Madrid's sense, Real Madrid win La Liga because they have the right mentality, the consistency, and the leadership throughout the locker room. It's going to be the final season of Luka Modric at Real Madrid, a Galactico. And how poetic, too, that it's going to be in the summer of a Euro 2024, which I believe will be the last Euro of Modric with Croatia, too. Modric won 23 trophies at Real Madrid. He's been 12 seasons there, and he's been vital through teaching Vini, Rodrigo, Valverde, the Galactico way of being a Real Madrid player at the highest level. So the future of Real Madrid is because of Kroos, Modric, Nacho Fernandez, Carvajal, Courtois, all having a hand in the positive way of saying this is how you become a champion. And that's why the next generation of Real Madrid is scary. Vini, Rodrigo, with Mbappe and Henry coming. I cannot. I'm scared, mate. I am scared.
Yeah, it's a lot to handle. It's like so much positivity that you almost feel, if you're any bit of a skeptic, you almost feel like, what could go wrong here?
Yes,
since we last filmed, part of what I kind of wanted to do was try and figure out if there was a negative to Real Madrid signing Kylian Mbappe.
No.
And the only negative I could think of, Alex, was Kylian Mbappe himself, and it's whether or not like Kylian Mbappe makes it all about himself or something. But that is such just reaching for whatever. I mean, Kylian Mbappe has shown that he can play in a team.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just I'm in awe at how Real Madrid has done
Ballon
the whole
d'Or
passing, but how Real Madrid has done the whole passing down the torch thing. Really well. And other teams could see that. I mean, Manchester City is the only other team that's been able to execute that well enough, as we've seen, where you go in and it's the culture that pervades you. It's the culture that just kind of right away you're playing for the badge. And you see it in the building of the personalities of these players on and off the pitch. So yeah, Real Madrid is just scary on paper, that the skeptic in me just goes, so what's going to happen?
It's true. It's true.
How does this go wrong here?
How does it go wrong, True? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below of La Liga. Serie A now. Who do you believe is going to win Serie A? I think it's a home run, bro. I think it's the favorite's going to win Serie A, right, Breton?
Yeah, it's Inter Milan.
Yeah.
Inter, or I should say just Inter. 20 wins, 1 loss, 3 draws. You'll when we go over our underrated 11, you'll see I wax quite. Yeah, I say a lot of good things about Lautaro Martinez because I don't think he's getting enough love this season as it stands. What him and Marcus Thuram has done, they are two of the. I don't know. They might be one of the best strike forces on the planet right now.
They're one of the best duos in football. Marcus Thuram and Lautaro. I put Jude Bellingham, Vini. I think they're very special. Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne. I think they're very special. But in Serie A, they're definitely ahead of Chiesa and Vlahovic, Thuram and Lautaro.
Yeah, and Lautaro, there are Argentines that have won the Golden Boot previously, and he is joining a list that is absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to say it. He's a shoe-in, obviously, to win this thing. He's still leading. I think it's called the Capo Canoniere or
Yes.
something like that. The Golden Boot race in Serie A. But Maradona's won it before. Hernan Crespo, Gabriel Batistuta, Mauro Icardi, I think, won it
Milito.
twice. Gonzalo Higuain, and now Lautaro.
And Milito,
he
no.
actually, well, Milito's Uruguayan, is he not?
Diego Milito, Argentinian. Yeah,
Milito did not win it. He
Oh
did not win it.
my days! I'm shocked
Yeah.
about that.
He's not. I don't know why I thought he was Uruguayan, but he did not. He did not win it. But yeah, Lautaro actually has. It's gonna be a little tough, but he actually has a chance, Alex, to break the record, which is 36 goals scored in a Serie A season. He needs 16 more goals in Inter's last 14 games, and that most recently was done by Ciro Immobile, the Lazio legend. So I am just so insanely impressed at how Inter has been run as of late, and that is just driven home by the bringing in of Piotr Zielinski, the bringing in of Mehdi Taremi. I mean, they're thinking multiple steps ahead, more so than Juve, more so than anybody else out there. And for me, Inter wins. And my biggest question in the top four for Serie A is going to be whether or not Thiago Motta's Bologna can creep into the top four. And I'm going to say it right now, Alex. They are.
I
They're
think
gonna
so
do
too. Thiago Motta is a very special manager with a very special team. He makes Lewis Ferguson be a special player. He makes Orsolini look extremely good. And as Califiori, Juve wants him already. But going back on Inter Milan, I think Inter Milan are the stars of the Serie A. I think Inter is first, Juve is second. I think AC Milan needs to do better with Rafael Leão and the team they have. Come on, get a third place, and Bologna fourth. I think Bologna will crack that fourth place. And going with what you said too on Inter, Lautaro Martinez has scored 20 Serie A goals, 3 consecutive seasons. He's got 28 goal involvements right now. Thuram has 23 goal involvements right now, and they are dark horses towards winning the Champions League. Masterclass once again by Inter Milan, and Tejan Buchanan became the first Canadian ever to play in Serie A. It's beautiful to see, and good scouting. I rate Tejan Buchanan. He's a player that I think will understand his place in the team. Bastoni, Barella, Lautaro, Thuram, Di Marco, Sommer. You got so much quality assembled in this team, and yes, obviously I have an Inter Milan player in my underrated team too. Don't worry, don't worry. I'm gonna be having it. But going on another league, Ligue 1. What are your predictions with Ligue 1, Bretson?
Well, PSG. I mean, do I need to say much more here? There are wonderful upstarts. There are teams in the top four that you never expect. But when it comes to Ligue 1, I'm bored. I'm bored by it. But this is a PSG that is getting set for one of the craziest transitions in football. Without their star man, and those players are actually starting to step up. Vitinha looks pretty good. Right? True. That's really all I can list right now. I guess Dembele's look good. Barcola, who you mentioned the other day, has looked pretty good. But the other teams within this top four are really nothing to write home about. I know Nice, while they've only given up 15 goals this season, they've only scored 22. So I think that just kind of puts what is his name?
Farioli. Francesco Farioli.
He might have a stout defense, Alex, but he also has one of the most boring clubs in football and the most boring strategies out there, because you're not going to win anybody over with 22 goals. You're not going to win anyone over with 22 goals.
I agree. I think PSG are going to win Ligue 1. I think my highlights are Nice, true, and I'm going to give a special highlight to Lille. I think Lille are going to have a team that's going to be remembered. My two highlights of Lille are Thiago Sanch, a right back that wasn't through last season, and Lenny Yoro. Lenny Yoro is a generational talent. I completely believe Lenny Yoro will be in the French national team in the next 2 years. He's a special player next to the Saliba, next to Upamecano, next to the big names. And I wanted to talk on PSG. PSG is a special team because PSG's assembled so many top players in their past years, okay? And I think next season, No Kylian Mbappe will be at PSG. No, next season, no Kylian Mbappe. But the possible lineup is for Osimhen and Rafa Leão to be replacing Mbappe. And look at this team list of under 25 players. Donnarumma, Vitinha, Kangin Lee, Ugarte, Gonçalo Ramos, Nuno Mendes, Brandy Barcola, Xavi Simons, Beraldo Moscarda, and Warren Zaire-Emery. This is the future of PSG. Zaire-Emery, 17. The youngest of the group, and yet one of the highest potential players in the list. So what a team is being assembled. Luis Campos. Just wanted to give that special shout out.
It's good right now. I'm okay with those plaudits, but as of right now, it just seems like a collection. Where all those pieces fit is what I care about. And unfortunately, I think you need Mbappe gone before you can actually assemble those pieces. But yeah, Rafa Leão coming in, Victor Osimhen coming in. I mean, that might even cost more than
Xavi Simons and
what's going out for
sure. They're coming next season. They're still not even there.
Xavi,
so I get you.
I get. Well, okay, they're gonna have to replace 20 goals. So far this season in Kylian Mbappe, and they're going to have to replace somebody that has taken PSG on their back multiple times, even when Neymar has been out injured or when Messi was out injured for a period of time. But none of this, this is an early kind of nascent stage type of situation with PSG because in the end, nobody really cares if they win another Ligue 1. Nobody cares.
It's true.
Right?
It's true.
It's whether or not they can win a Champions League. And every one of those names there, every one of those names that you put together, it's going to come down to whether or not Luis Enrique's the man and whether or not they can get over the hump and win PSG's first Champions League. And I don't see that progress being made just yet. I mean, those names are great, but until they're in the door at Parc des Princes, I don't see it happen. It might not even be Parc des Princes in the future, right?
No,
something different, right?
Exactly. They cannot have the stadium. They can't buy it. It's true. And I think that's an interesting move by the French government. They're going to develop another stadium. It was said by Khelafi. But I wanted to say, because you're saying it, PSG have not won a Champions League in their history. And look at the amount of stars that have been in their history. Ronaldinho, Mbappe, Messi, Neymar, Cavani, Thiago Silva, that is an extremely good center back. The amount of names is ridiculous. Even at David Beckham was at PSG at one time. So they got to get over the hump. And Di Maria, one of the most underrated legends in football. So Liga, let us know your thoughts down below. And now the last two leagues. I wanted to do it fast. We're going to talk more in depth in the future for these two leagues. But the Portuguese league and the Eredivisie. How are you thinking here, Brett? And who's going to win them?
Well, let's start with the less of a actual thing, because we all know PSV is going to win the Eredivisie, right? I don't think we need to.
I agree.
I don't think we need to hash that over. I think the bigger development here is the fact that Ajax is going to not win it for another year running. It was Feyenoord last year, and there are a lot of similarities between this PSV and the Feyenoord team from last season. It's really intriguing to see the center back pairing that doesn't get as much love. Gernot Schroner and Senesi, and who is the other guy that we really like at Feyenoord? Hanko, right? This season at PSV, it's Andre Ramalho, and it's oh, why am I blanking on his name?
Johan Bakayoko, Joey Veerman, Luke de Jong.
Well, no. Yeah, I'm talking about the center back who is in my underrated 11, actually, whose name I'm blanking on right now. But the Philips Stadion, I mean, this is another situation. I think there's more of a chance that PSV has to be the Invincibles in the Eredivisie season than Bayer Leverkusen has to finish out the Bundesliga season undefeated. I think you're going to see
I disagree.
Really?
I disagree with you on that. I think what Xabi Alonso is doing is very special. Peter Bosch, I think he might have a loss in the Eredivisie. I think he might.
Okay.
I think. Come on, Feyenoord, what are next what?
Listen, 70 goals scored, 10 goals conceded in 22 games. They started the trio of Americans for PSV Eindhoven over the weekend. They did not disappoint. Malik Tillman was great. Serginho Dest was good. Ricardo Pepi got his first start in 17 games, even though he's got a goal every 50 minutes for PSV Eindhoven. And then that's their backups for the most part. Like, Luke de Jong, even role players like Ismail Saiberi, right? Jordy Schutten. These players, I don't know if they could take the next step up, but these are the players that come in and ensure that PSV can get it done in the Eredivisie because they've got a Champions League to fight for as well in the very near future against Dortmund, and I'm really intrigued by that particular matchup. But 62 points, 22 games. I think that they will end the season as invincibles, and I think this is the best you're ever going to see Luke de Jong in any shirt, and it might be the last time you see him be this dang good in a shirt. So I don't know. I really do feel that PSV can get this done unless they have to visit De Kuip one more time.
I think
Let's take a look.
I think they've played against Feyenoord. I think they've played against Feyenoord at home.
I don't see how they don't do it, man. The Philips Stadion, AZ Alkmaar is the only team at Philips, Twente
It
at
can happen.
Philips.
It
It can happen, but they do have to play Feyenoord at home.
It's
so
true.
We'll
It's
see.
true. Eredivisie, so I agree with you. PSV is going to win it. I think in second will be Feyenoord. And Ajax, I'm liking the ascension, and I think it comes with veterans like Jordan Henderson now being there. They need the leadership of players like Tadic that left all of a sudden. Daley Blin left all of a sudden. A lot of core players that added a lot to football left that locker room. So I agree. I agree with what you said. And on the Portuguese league front, I'm going to mention this. First saying, I think Sporting right now are the favorites because they have the best collective team. Ruben Amorim's ascension to Sporting is absolutely unreal. Ruben Amorim is under the age of 40. He's won a league title for Sporting, the first league title in 20 years. Players like Pot, Gonçalo Inácio, Nuno Santos, now Gyökeres, Morten Wilman are all looking amazing with Ruben. And don't forget a fullback duo of Nuno Mendes and Pedro Porro. Ruben Amorim is the man that makes this happen. And I wanted to say, this season, Sporting are 100% victorious in the league at home. That's a great record, and it comes with a positive reference of Victor Gyökeres. Victor Gyökeres has 16 goals, 8 assists. And if you don't know about him, you should know because you gotta rate him. He's gonna be in a top team real soon. He's a great striker. And the two best players in the Portuguese league are no doubt in my mind, João Neves and Victor Gyökeres by a couple of miles right now, okay? Diogo Costa has been very important for Porto a couple of times. Di Maria, Rafa, all have shown greatness, but João Neves and Gyökeres, they're the backbone of their teams. So I have to rate them differently. So just giving a quick heads up on the Portuguese league. Do you think Sporting wins it, Breton?
No, I'm going to say Benfica with a muscle memory wins it. I think they'll be able to get it. They'll be able to get it done. But it is Benfica plays Sporting April 7th, and it's at Sporting's house. So I think that's going to be the big one. And hey, just to give you a quick understanding of what Benfica should likely focus on is shut down Victor Gyökeres. Make Trincao have to do something. Make Marcus Edwards have to do something. They can do something, but a whole lot less consistently than Victor Gyökeres. I mean, if you look at that front trio, they've obviously contributed quite a bit, but Victor Gyökeres is another man completely compared to them. So I do think Benfica, the muscle memory is there. I think they're going to get it done. It's just they're going to have to go to Sporting's house and get it done, and that's gonna be interesting. So I will say Benfica over Sporting, and then who are we looking at here for third? I mean, you got to put, I guess, Porto. Braga just doesn't look the same. Doesn't look. I know they had a decent run of games earlier this season, but they've also taken some lopsided losses as of late. So Porto with the loss too. It'll be a fight. It's just whether or not Vitória can actually capture one of them, right? The top four. You think that's going to happen?
That's very bold. I think Braga finishes in the fourth and Porto finish in the third. But let us know if you agree or you disagree with our predictions down below. It's been quite bold to do all these European leagues. Let us know and like this video, people. Now, top 5 of the Ballon d'Or that we believe can win it in 2024. It's a very hard list to do. Don't forget to like this video. But obviously, I'm going to start by saying Kylian Mbappé can win the next Ballon d'Or. In fact, I think he must win. PSG gotta go bold in the Champions League. I think they're gonna go through against Real Sociedad. And if they go against an Arsenal, I agree with Jamie Carragher. It's gonna be Arsenal or more favorites. But PSG's gotta do better because he's going to a great team like Real Madrid. Mbappe will have to show up. And Mbappe, no doubt in my mind, is the most talented player in this generation right now. In the next 5 years, I do not see a player more talented right now, and the right move to Real Madrid is gonna happen. Real Madrid are going to assemble the best squad in the world when it's the prime era of the Premier League. It's not the La Liga prime, it's the Real Madrid assembling prime that is going to be dominant against any team in the world of football. The attack of Rodri, Jude Bellingham, Vinicius, and Kylian Mbappe. Scary scenes for the next decade. Scary.
Yep.
Scary. Oh
I will wait until I see that Kylian Mbappe jersey, in the jersey introduction, juggling in the Bernabeu to the applause of 80,000 plus people.
Let's do it like this, Breton.
We see this happen.
If Kylian Mbappe,
go ahead.
if Kylian Mbappe doesn't go to Real Madrid this summer, I'll shave my head bald. I'll shave my head bald. It's clear as day. I'm not gonna say it for Xabi Alonso going to Liverpool, but if Xabi Alonso, if Mbappe doesn't go to Real Madrid, I think it's just a fact, mate. I think it's just a fact, but I could be wrong.
Well, you could be wrong. Well, you must really want to shave your head because the ink ain't even dry yet, and there's a lot of submarining that can happen here. We don't yet know. We haven't really gotten a full, unobstructed statement from PSG brass, right? They could do anything they want to try and submarine this thing. It doesn't mean that he won't still necessarily sign with Real Madrid, but for PSG to not get any compensation back for this, aside from a astronomical amount back on the wage bill, but for them not to get anything necessarily, it's gonna be interesting. I think there's more. But I think there's more drama to come around the Kylian Mbappe signing. Now, I think you're right. You don't have to shave your head. I think he will wind up at Real Madrid, and I'm going to say it. I think Kylian Mbappe is going to have to be at Real Madrid to actually win a Ballon d'Or this particular year, 2024. That's why I have him ranked second on my favorites right now to win it. But Kylian Mbappe is Kylian Mbappe. I mean, he's got the real interesting thing here, Alex, is that he has no Euro goals to his name, right? It's all going to come down to, we know he's done it at the World Cup. We know he's been, scored a hat trick in the final. He's also he's lifted the trophy in the World Cup. But Kylian Mbappe has not scored a Euro goal, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of catching up to do. If he ever wants to be, I don't know, better than a Cristiano Ronaldo, who's at the top of all-time Euro goals scored, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? And you might also recall that the last memory we have of Kylian Mbappe in a Euro tournament was him missing the penalty kick to Jan Sommer for Switzerland to kick him out in the knockout rounds of it. So there's a lot of, not to kind of, throw out the astronomical cards, right? The oh my gosh, I'm going to send some juju Kylian Mbappe's way, send him in a different direction, make it so that France is not going to win this thing. But you might recall that my prediction is we're going to have an upstart winner of the Euros this season, in 2024. I don't think it's going to be one of the favorites, France, England, which who the only person that likely helps in the Ballon d'Or top 5 is Erling Haaland, because Erling Haaland cannot win the Ballon d'Or. Without Norway, without a lack of international tournament.
I think
any
he can
given
if
Ballon
he
d'Or
wins the Man City back-to-back Champions League.
Hell no.
So imagine. Let's. I'll ask you this, Breton. Man City win the Champions League with Erling Haaland. France win the Euros with Kylian Mbappe. Who wins the Ballon d'Or?
Yep. France wins the Euros with Kylian Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe.
Even though a PSG's eliminated in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, Kylian Mbappe still wins it.
I mean, based on the Messi decision last season, it seems to me international competition is weighted a whole lot more.
Interesting.
When it comes to these things, and Erling Haaland. I mean, Erling Haaland didn't exactly light up the Champions League knockout rounds to win the last Champions League, but they did win the flippin' treble.
True.
And he did set Premier League records from you. I just don't see it. If he couldn't get it last season, when obviously the World Cup that takes a whole lot more precedence, but a lot of people say it's World Cup and then it's the Euros in terms of highest international tournament. So I think if Kylian Mbappe wins the Euros with France, he's favorite. If Jude Bellingham or Harry Kane win the Euros with England, boom, they're skyrocketing to the favorites. I think it's going to be something like Spain winning or Netherlands. I think it's going to be something crazy like that. Not that that's crazy historically speaking, but yeah. That's my top 5, Alex. I've got on fifth. I've actually got Antoine Griezmann in 5th. Just because I didn't want to put any more Manchester City players. I'm sorry. I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that they're Rodri couldn't make top 3 last season. Then we're probably not going to see him top 5 this season. It's that simple.
Well,
Antoine Griezmann 5, Erling Haaland 4. And I've got, where's my 3? Harry Kane is 3, Kylian Mbappe is 2, and my current favorite for the Ballon d'Or is Jude Bellingham.
If Harry Kane's trophyless, which I believe there's a high chance that to happen, I'm not going to put him in the top 5. And he might have all the goals, all the assists. I know it's 28 goals and 8 assists right now, but if he doesn't win a trophy at Bayern Munich, I put 5 players ahead of Harry Kane right now. Jude Bellingham, Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, Rodri, and obviously a Kevin De Bruyne too. Like, I'm sorry, Kane. You need to get the trophy. And in the Champions League too, it was the first loss of Bayern Munich to an Italian team in 13 years, right? Like, that cannot happen in the Champions League. Harry Kane needs to do better. A top-class player in a world-class position that costs more than 100 million to a team like Bayern Munich that is all about the fans and all about the finance too. You got to do better.
Yep.
You got to do better. Yep. The Bavarian era needs to do better with this, okay? And Thomas Tuchel cannot be doing such a poor job as he is. So your top 5, quite interesting, Breton. Quite interesting in my view.
36 goal involvements in like 28 games this season. He's got to do better. It's pretty crazy. And
because
7 goal
did he score against Leverkusen?
No, he did not.
Did he score against Lazio?
No, he did not. There's still a second leg. But
how many shots did they have on target? 1. He's got to do better.
I'm with you.
He's got to do better in these games. I think he had like hat tricks, a lot of matches that he was phenomenal. But there's moments that you got to be phenomenal. I think that's the difference.
We also have to look at the progression of Harry Kane on an international level, and he has been doing it for England. So England coming off that final loss to Europe, they're going to have unfinished business. And I don't think either of these English players win, Harry Kane or Jude Bellingham, if England don't go incredibly far in the Euros. And if they don't win it, it's going to be tough. Unless Real Madrid wins a they're still in the Copa del Rey, right?
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
They have to win the Champions League. No, the Atletico de Madrid on the Copa del Rey.
Yeah. So
Griezmann. It goes with the argument of Griezmann. Interesting. Yeah. I think it's an interesting debate.
Griezmann, because of France, if you're taking an odds-on favorite still to win this, although I don't necessarily feel that way, and what he has meant. What he has meant to France in the last few Euro tournament, last few World Cups, you could argue that he has been every bit as important as Kylian Mbappe, and maybe even more important in some respects because he's been asked to do and play different roles. Antoine Griezmann, we got to remember, was a Golden Boot winner not last Euros, but the Euro before that.
True.
And this guy's been doing it for a long time, and he's going to be the reason why France gets this done. I mean, Kylian Mbappe too, don't get me wrong. But on paper, there's no doubt that they're heading into this tournament eking out just a little bit on paper talent in their roster. France is the favorites. England is second for me. Portugal is third.
I think it's an interesting debate completely. I put my favorite towards My favorite towards winning the Ballon d'Or, it's a very bold statement right now. Kylian Mbappe. I think he wins the Euros. Mas bora lá Portugal.
Wow.
In second, I put Jude Bellingham. In third, I put Erling Haaland. In fourth, I'm going to put a player that's never been in the top 5, and it's disrespectful. Vinicius Junior. I rate him to be in the 4th place because Real Madrid are going to go bold in the Champions League. And I put 5th, Kevin De Bruyne. I'm so sorry, Rodri, not to put you in the top 5. But De Bruyne's assist and the greatness that we see with the duo with Haaland, it's very, very, very bold. And Jude Bellingham, no doubt in my mind, has been the best midfielder in the world this season. I think Kevin De Bruyne has been injured a lot of the season, but still, it's a great discussion that we might see. A Real Madrid against a Man City in the semi-finals. I'm leaning towards, with Courtois, with Eder Militão, maybe Real Madrid win in the Santiago Bernabeu. But we're definitely going to see history in the making. Ancelotti versus Guardiola. Jude Bellingham versus Haaland. Vinicius Junior versus Doku, the Grealish, you never know. Bernardo Silva in the sense. But it's going to be a good one.
It is going to be one for the ages. That's for sure. But you're saying here... I mean, De Bruyne with Belgium, you're saying that they have a chance in Euros?
I think Man City more than Belgium. I think Belgium are going to do a very good run in the Euros. Tedesco hasn't lost any match still. Artur Vermaeren's a young gun there. Johan Bakayoko's a young gun there. Doku, another young gun. So Mandela Keita. I like a lot of the players that are right there. So I think they could impress. I think they could impress Belgium. But it's more on what Man City are going to do that I rate Kevin De Bruyne being in the top 5. He's the greatest midfielder I've ever seen in the Premier League. He's a top 5 player in the world, 100%. And Vini Jr. Vini Jr. is consistently disrespected in FIFA, the best in the Ballon d'Or. It's got to be over. And I think he has that ambition to be the best player in the world. The goal against Girona, 50 Champions League games right now, 17 goals, 20 assists. He's chasing the 42 assists of Cristiano Ronaldo. He wants to achieve greatness, and he will. At 23 at Real Madrid with 247 games. That is mad.
But will Brazil overcome Argentina and Uruguay to win the Copa America in the States?
No.
Yeah,
they won't.
Exactly.
They won't.
So it all comes down to Real Madrid here. And that's the thing, is we're dealing with an international type of window. And that plays, if you look back at the history, it plays massively in the waiting, right? And I don't know. I'm trying to think of other possibilities of when that has pushed somebody over the top. But it is Cannavaro, right? Cannavaro, Real Madrid in Italy. What was that, 2006? Is that when he won the Ballon d'Or?
Yep.
I think so. So it really is interesting. It really comes down to Euros and Copa America. And I do have to bring it up, right? This could be the last season that we see a Leo Messi, obviously, in the top 3. But also, is there a chance that Leo Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo can run it back? And what would it take? We know what it would take for Ronaldo. Ronaldo's already delivered 50 goals. And depending on who you ask, somebody says, oh, that's nothing because it's in the Saudi Pro League. And others say it's everything because he's Cristiano Ronaldo and he's 38 or 39 and he's doing it and he's, beating Father Time.
It's the top goal scorer of the Euro qualifiers.
That's exactly right. But it doesn't matter unless he does it in the Euros, right? You have to say that. That is the only way Cristiano Ronaldo winds up in the top 3 Ballon d'Or is if he wins Golden Boot or Golden Ball at the Euros.
He won't finish top 3 of the Ballon d'Or, Cristiano Ronaldo, nor Messi should.
There's no chance.
If he's playing in the MLS, he shouldn't. Neymar is the last player to finish top 10 in the Ballon d'Or out of Europe. I'm sorry. Obviously, after the Messi award. But, it shouldn't happen. Since last season, Messi won it, and he was the first to win the Ballon d'Or. Okay, but before that happening, Neymar was the last one. It can't happen. I'm sorry. If that happens, if the top 3 of the Ballon d'Or has Messi again, I'll be shook. I'll be shook, Breton. Even if they win the Copa America, I'll still be shook with Jude Bellingham, Mbappe, Haaland. But I want to just say on Haaland one last thing on my sense. Erling Haaland has the potential to be the best striker in the next 5 years in football. That is a special period of time that he can achieve greatness. 40 Champions League goals right now. And Erling Haaland was the top goal scorer in one season in the Premier League and was the top goal scorer of the Champions League too. If he does this consistently, he will be perceived as one of the best strikers ever ever in the history of football. So that's what I think can be the greatness of Haaland, becoming the best striker ever. But it might not be enough when you have Kylian Mbappe in the same generation, especially at Real Madrid, and especially with a Jude Bellingham there and a Vinicius Junior too. It's going to be the best team in the world.
And that's the insanity of it all, right? Erling Haaland, for me, there's no way in heck that Erling Haaland wins a 2024 Ballon d'Or, right? There's no way. Unless France, England, Belgium, Argentina, Brazil, unless they all lose their respective international tournaments, there's no way Erling Haaland gets it done. Now, you then look into the future and you say, when is Erling Haaland going to be able to do that? Well, in 2025, if Kylian Mbappe is joining Real Madrid, that would be the year, man. There's no international tournaments to deal with. That's the year for Erling Haaland. You go crazy, Erling Haaland. You score 50 goals in 50 games in that particular season, then you've got a shot. But Kylian Mbappe is going to be out Real Madrid with the flippin' Avengers behind him. So I don't know how it gets done for Erling Haaland, but there is no doubt that he's one of the purest goal scorers that this game has seen in a long time. So I don't know, man. It's crazy. And poor Rodri in all of this.
Poor Rodri
in all of this.
Exactly.
He's been an Iron Man for Spain. He's been an Iron Man for Manchester City. I mean, Manchester City still has not lost with him. I don't even know what the count is up to. But if he couldn't sniff the top 3 last season, I don't know how you're doing it this season, Rodri. I don't know how you're going to get and he already knows. Like, he's already accepted that reality.
Spain has to win the Euros, and he's got to win the Champions League again. So it's going to be quite difficult. And with a goal in the final, that would be the cherry on top of the cake. But let us know down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree with our top 5s? Yes.
Yeah. Last thing I just want to bring up is Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane. I mean, an Englishman winning the Ballon d'Or is pretty crazy. Right. I know we can talk about Stanley Matthews. I know we can talk about Georgie Best, who wasn't exactly right. We can talk about Michael Owen as the most recent one. I think you could say a Michael Owen in the modern era, although Kevin Keegan winning 2 in a row was pretty ridiculous for when he was at Hamburg back in the day. That was insane. But in the modern era, David Beckham finished second, right? Frank Lampard and Gerrard were second and third at one point. But Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane represent England's best chance to win it in a very, very long time. And I know 4 have won it, but in the modern era, it's just insane that England have not had more of a threat when it comes to the Ballon d'Or. So we'll see.
True. And let us know down below if you agree or disagree that an Englishman will be winning the Ballon d'Or, because that's a bold fact that you just ended right there. We will be talking in future podcasts more about the Ballon d'Or and who we think are the Wonderkids that will be winning it in the next 3-5 years. But let us know down below who should be in that video and must be on it. Lamine Yamal, obviously, okay? He's still 16, people. He's still 16. But we wanted you guys to end it with quality football knowledge right here, because underrated players need to be mentioned more. That's why they're underrated. And we decided that the FC Wonderkid community has to know this best 11. Each of us, we assembled one of underrated players in the world of football right now playing. Would you want to start, Breton? But let us know, too, players that you believe will be in our underrated 11s. If you listen to the pod, then you'll have an idea, maybe. We'll go to the Portuguese League, maybe to the MLS, more in the Prem, and like this video for more videos just like this.
Yes. Okay, well, my underrated 11, you may recall, we did this before the season started, and I went back and I looked at what we put together. We were pretty dang spot on. A lot of those guys, Alex, have since kind of graduated into the getting the love that they deserve. So go back and check that out. I think it was early August. If you want to compare the two. But I'll start with my goalkeeper and see what you think here. He's one of the best in the league in Serie A in goals prevented. I'm going to start with Michel Di Gregorio, Monza. And he's put together masterclasses recently against Napoli, which I happen to see, so there might be a little bit of bias in this. And Udinese, I think next to Mike Maignan, he has, and maybe Jan Sommer, he has a possible claim on best goalkeeper in Serie A right now, or most informed goalkeeper in Serie A right now. Whether or not that wins the attention of the Azzurri coming up for the Euros. That remains to be seen, but he has been lights out for Monza this season.
I like it. Very good shout out you just did, Breton. My underrated, my best defense, my underrated defense that you guys must know has Alvaro Valles in goalkeeper, Las Palmas, 7 clean sheets in La Liga. My right back is Dani Carvajal, 5 Champions League, and he's an absolute leader in this team. Then I have Acerbi, crucial for Inter Milan. Senesi, very good center back. And then I got Frederic Orsens at left back because he can play everywhere, this man. He's been crucial towards Benfica, winning a league title last season, and now having a title race this season in the Portuguese league. Frederic Orsens, a bargain that cost 15 million. Remember the name.
Wait.
Very good player.
So you've got him at left back, or you got him at right back?
Left back.
Can apparently do it all.
He can play left back.
I missed that.
Right back, Dani Carvajal. An absolute legend. 402 games for Real Madrid. Unreal. 63 assists. And people even forget he was at Leverkusen. What a loan that was for Leverkusen.
Well, very true. Very true. Well, I am going to throw a little Wonderkid influence on this one. And a lot of it's because watching this kid, you can just tell he's going to be something special for them. But my defense, back line, starting at left back, I don't know why I started left and you started right, but starting at left back, I've got Ian Maatsen for Borussia Dortmund. I think he's already hit the ground running, and I think he's exactly what they have needed. And my guess, if Chelsea actually relaxes their demands, he will wind up and stay in a Dortmund shirt, and he probably should. And then my center back partnership is Olivier Bascali for PSV Eindhoven. Scored a great banger of a goal actually the other day, running through the defense as a center back. But he has been rock solid, probably the best center back in the Eredivisie this season for PSV. That was the name I, for some reason, had blanked on earlier. And I'm going to throw a couple more wonder kids out there for you. Murillo for Nottingham Forest, 21-year-old center back, has been absolutely lights out for them. And my guess is that he is going to be plucked by one of the top teams in the Premier League or elsewhere at some point this coming. Well, I don't know. It depends on what happens with Forest's money situation. And then my right back is Connor Bradley. I'm going to throw Connor Bradley out there. I know it's a very small sample size. I know that Dani Carvajal obviously does more to deserve a little love these days. But I think knowing what we know Connor Bradley's been through over the last few games, it's great to see. And knowing the scope of what you have to deal with coming into a Liverpool 11 in Klopp's final year and looking how he has looked, he looks like a kid that has been there for multiple seasons running. And I don't know who deserves the most credit for that beyond Klopp, but it's probably Robertson, and Alexander-Arnold as well deserve some love for just ingratiating him into the setup here. But Connor Bradley deserves a shout in my back four. I think that's the most Wonderkid heavy back four you're going to get here. So back four for me, Maatsen, Bascali, Murillo, and Bradley. And Nathan Ake deserves a shout as well because he's been everything for Manchester City this season.
Very underrated too. Very mobile and crucial for City. I completely agree with what you're saying. My underrated midfield has John McGinn, Frank Kessié, and Pot of Sporting. Look at the goal involvements of Pot. 2021, he had 28 goal involvements. The season 21-22, he had 29 goal involvements. 22-23, 35 goal involvements. And 23-24, he has 25 goal involvements until now. Gyökeres has been going bold with Pot, and you should know this name. What a goal he scored against Arsenal. So that's my underrated midfield. And I mentioned in the last podcast, Frank Kessié has been instrumental towards many titles in the past few years. Frank Kessié was very important towards AC Milan winning the Scudetto in 2022, towards Barcelona winning the La Liga in 2023, and obviously the AFCON. That he's been very important for the Ivory Coast.
Jeez, it's like he's like the new Kingsley Coman or something. Jeez, everywhere he goes, he wins titles, I guess. Okay, well, my midfield, I'm going 4-4-2 here, so I got 4 in my midfield. And they're all going to be center midfielders because, you know what?
Let's go with it.
Right? Yeah. I'm going to throw one wonder kid in there for you because considering what Newcastle has been going through this season in terms of their injuries, Lewis Miley, 17 years old, 13 starts, 1 goal, 2 assists. Everyone that has been with him, everyone that has watched, they basically say that this kid has just a ridiculous future. Once he grows into that long, wiry body, Lewis Miley is going to be a Premier League midfielder for many years to come, a very good one at that. Another one, Mats Wiefer for Feyenoord, doing it again. And I don't know why we have to continue to say that Mats Wiefer is underrated before somebody picks him up and he takes the step beyond Feyenoord. But Mats Wiefer has been the most consistent thing about Feyenoord. They're not having a bad season necessarily. PSV is just having a insane season when it comes to it. Mats Wiefer has them once again near the top of the Eredivisie and also ready to fight in Europe. My next two are not older, but Pascal Gross for Brighton. Do I need to say any more? I mean, he has been there since the beginning. He has played left back, right back. He's played DM. I wouldn't be surprised to see if he's played up top at times, but he's got 4 goals, 8 assists. He has been the focal point of Graham Potter. He was the focal point. He is the focal point of Roberto De Serbi. He is, if we're talking about Declan Rice and Aurelien Chouameni as Rolls Royces of midfielders, I'm going to call Pascal Gross your like trusty, consistent, safe Volvo, right? It's always there. It can run for 100,000 miles. Pascal Gross is nothing but a consummate professional for Brighton, and I think he was there when they were in the championship and they came up. He has leveled up his game, and now he is in the German national team setup, and you likely will see him at the Euros, which I think is an awesome moment for this guy and insanely deserved for one of Brighton's best players over the years. And considering all the wonder kids that have come in around him, Pascal Gross still always going to be there. And my final midfielder is the captain of Thiago Motta's Bologna side that we think is going to finish top 4 by the end of the season, a Scotsman. He's also one of the reasons why they're one of the better, we're one of the better Euro qualifying teams, but Lewis Ferguson. Lewis Ferguson, at 24 years old, he's thriving under Thiago Motta. He's got 5 goals, 3 assists. He has made everybody around him look better, including Joshua Zirkzee, Riccardo Orsolini. I really believe that next season, you'd be stupid if you were Juve, Inter, AC Milan, and you weren't fighting for his signature next season. He's already very clearly shown that he's just fine in Serie A. As a Scotsman
Zirkzee,
in Serie A.
But Lewis Ferguson, that's bold. I think he should go maybe to Celtic,
baby.
That'd be interesting.
That's came from Aberdeen. Bold. I don't know if you can do that if you've come from Aberdeen. I think he's gonna mix that right away. I think Lewis Ferguson could be at AC Milan or something like that. That's a big step next season.
But let us know if you agree or disagree with our picks until now. And I want to see the comment section full of underrated players. I'm going to say my 11 with the front trio. My underrated best 11 has Alvaro Valles at goalkeeper. Then I have Carvajal, Acerbi, Senesi, and Frederic Orsens at left back. He can play everywhere. Then my midfield has John McGinn, Spot, and Frank Kessié. And then my attack has Mitoma, one of the best dribblers in the world, Japanese master. Then I have one of the most underrated strikers this generation, Olivier Giroud. And at right wing, I've got Berardi, 12 seasons at Sassuolo. Underrated name.
Okay.
Gotta know Domenico Berardi.
I can't wait. I can't wait till you hear my top 2. But there's too many underrated players, bud. All right. My updated underrated 11 with a nice little Wonderkid injection in there. My goalkeeper is De Gregorio from Monza. My back 4 is Ian Matson at Dortmund. Center backs are Bascali and Murillo at Nottingham Forest. And I put Connor Bradley or like a Nathan Ake kind of hybrid in there, even though I know Ake doesn't play right back. My midfield is Lewis Miley, Mats Wiefer, Pascal Gross, and Lewis Ferguson. We've got 4 center midfielders in there, so don't try and actually field this anywhere. And my strikers up top are, I don't know how you can call a world-class striker underrated, but Lautaro Martinez still does not get enough love. At 26 years old, 20 goals, gonna be one of the few legendary Argentines to likely win the Golden Boot in Serie A, is going to win Inter a Scudetto. I still think he's underrated. And my other striker is the guy that stepped up when Serhou Guirassy got injured for Stuttgart, a relegation team last season, a relegation team no more. They are in third place in the Bundesliga because of Deniz Undav, who has 14 goals in 14 Bundesliga starts this season. And together with Guirassy, Alex, they account for 32 of Stuttgart's 50 goals scored this season. Wow. 32. I mean, that's insane. And Deniz Undav, just as like a fun little fact here, he is one of the very few Brighton transfers to not work out. Oof. You may recall, right?
Gyökeres too. And Gyökeres too at Sporting. One of the few.
Wow.
Two strikers. True. So that's a very interesting one. Could you tell me again your best 11, Bretson? Because I lost myself
here. Goes. All right. My best underrated 11 is goalkeeper Di Gregorio at Monza. We've got my back four is Maatsen at Dortmund, Boscali PSV, Mario Nottingham Forest, and Connor Bradley at Liverpool. My midfield is, and it's a 4-4-2, Miley, Newcastle, Wiefer, Feyenoord, Gross, Brighton, Ferguson, Bologna. And then our strikers up top, 4-4-2, Lautaro at Inter, and we've got Deniz Undav at Stuttgart.
I like that strike force. That strike force is very mobile and it would do a lot of damage to a lot of defenses. We didn't mention these three players, but I wanted to give a special credit to these underrated players at the end of the video. The most underrated players of this decade, in my opinion, are Thomas Muller, Antoine Griezmann, and Angel Di Maria. They have been absolutely crucial, and all of them have won a World Cup too. It's so good to see that, and they were all important towards that. Di Maria scored in the final of the Olympics for Argentina, scored in the final of the Finalissima, scored in the final of the Copa America, and in the final of the World Cup. Di Maria is that guy, and his record of goals, Di Maria is underrated. 202 goals and 290 assists in his career. Angel Di Maria. Wanted to give a special credit to that.
Next up, he'll score the game-winning goal for Inter Miami next season. In MLS Cup, right?
But MLS talk. Is Inter Miami gonna win the MLS, Breton?
Well, Inter Miami is the favorite for sure to win MLS Cup, but the cracks are already showing and the season hasn't started. What? Inter Miami will start the season this Wednesday, and they will play the first game of the season versus Real Salt Lake, and they've got Luis Suarez. They've got the whole band essentially back together. The biggest thing that we have to remember, though, folks, is that MLS is kind of this closed pocket league, this closed money bag league, where they have not quite given teams enough of financial leeway for them to deepen their rosters, to make sure injuries like the ones to Benja Kuramashi, like the ones to Facundo Farias, like Luis Suarez's knees that are going to be screaming this season when he has to play Leagues Cup or on artificial turf. That is why I say, in a very long-winded way, while Inter Miami are the favorites, absolutely, to lift MLS Cup this season, they will not win MLS Cup this season.
They're going to win it. Messi is the greatest player ever in the MLS. Busquets is one of the greatest CDM ever in football. They gotta make it happen.
But listen, the cracks are already showing because they're already getting sniffed around in terms of financial issues, irregularities. They have to offload players. The Federico Redondo deal that you and I were so enamored with likely isn't going to happen. And I think it's MLS's fault. I don't think it's Inter Miami's fault. I think it's Major League Soccer's fault. I think we are 2 years away. We're not even 6 months away from holding Copa America here. We're not even 2.5 years away from hosting a flippin' World Cup here. I think it's time to test the financial waters and let these teams deepen the rosters to accommodate the amount of fixtures there's going to play. If Inter Miami, in my opinion, doesn't win MLS Cup this season, they could have probably done some things better, but it's more because Major League Soccer dropped the ball on allowing these teams to build their rosters. It caters towards the deeper teams, in my opinion, I think it's going to be a Columbus repeat or a FC Cincinnati or a Seattle who has gone out and brought in Pedro de la Vega. There are this team is all, or I'm sorry, this league is all about parity, and there is still parity even with Leo Messi on the field.
I believe
with Leo Messi on the field.
This might be bold. Seeing Luis Suarez in the Brasileirão, he was one of the best strikers. I expect Luis Suarez to be the top goal scorer of the MLS. With Messi behind him, that's what needs to happen. And I know it's very difficult for Suarez to play each game, but that's the expectations. That's what the world wants to see. Will it happen or not? It seems like it's going to be hard. So you believe that a Columbus, a Cincinnati have a better team than Inter Miami right now? Come on, Messi. They went from the last place team to now being one of the favorites. Come on, Messi. I know. Make the greatness happen. Win the MLS straight away.
Yeah, well, it comes down to, beyond Leo Messi, it comes down to how well their young guys around them step up, right? Aviles at the back. You've got Noah Allen and Benja Kramashi has to come back from three. You've got, who's the other guy? David
the goalkeeper.
Ruiz, and a name, oh my gosh, Drake Callender. But the name you want to remember on this Inter Miami roster from a young Wonderkid perspective is going to be 18-year-old Tyler Hall, center back that is going to definitely play a role this season. And Inter Miami was very smart with their domestic signings, bringing in Julian Gressel, who's a set piece. Well, as far as MLS goes, he's very good on set pieces. But when you got Messi, you don't really need Julian Gressel at that point. But the fact that they've got two guys capable of doing it, Gressel has won MLS Cup previously with Atlanta United. He knows how to get it done. And yeah, obviously on paper, man, they are the best team.
And Thiago Almada is a very interesting player at Atlanta United. I think he could be he is in the top 5 best players of the MLS. My last question to you, Breton, it's, will I see at the end of the season top 3 players in the MLS? Lionel Messi, Sergio Busquets, Luis Suarez?
No.
Why not? If they win the MLS, definitely that needs to be the case. Make it happen.
No.
Is it going to be Thiago Almada there?
Thiago Almada will definitely, I mean, he's just reporting back to camp, so we'll see what's going on. I think he was expecting a move away from Atlanta United. It never materialized. So could it be? Yes. But are there other great players that are maybe a little less advanced in age than like a Sergio Busquets? Like an Emil Forsberg has looked ridiculous for Red Bull so far to start the season. And then there are younger guys, you can't sniff at Daniel Gazdag at Philadelphia Union, he's gonna play a role. He's gonna play a role for Hungary. He's gonna be at the Euros, very likely. I mean, there are a lot more players. Pedro de la Vega is another Argentine that has joined up in Seattle, and Seattle's a place where they play in front of 50, 60,000 people on a regular. FC Dallas has brought in Petar Musa. I know you don't put Petar Musa and Sergio Busquets in the same sentence very often, but in MLS, in the construct of MLS, he's going to be a very, very good player. And that is, I'm not doing it justice right now, but like Hugo Kuipers, who's come in at Chicago, they spent $12 million plus on him. The purse strings have been opened a little bit, but in terms of the depth, Alex, I'm pissed. I'm pissed at Major League Soccer. I want to see more money for the entire roster, not just those, at the tippy top with this. It is now a time to take a risk for the viability of this league. I feel like it's an opportunity missed this season
You, Bretson, you're an American that wants a strong league to develop strong American players to play against the world's best. And I believe U.S. can do that because you got a ton of talent playing in top teams in Europe, and I see it with a Kevin Paredes, with a Gio Reyna now at Forest. Let's wait and see.
Oh, baby. But Josh Sargent, 10 goals in 11 games. Love it.
Going bold.
But listen, you've got other players, Alex, like Alan Velasco. I think he's injured, so he's probably not going to do anything. Talis Magno. I've just brought it up. Cucho Hernandez, who was supposed to go to La Liga this season, and luckily he's stuck around. He just won it with Columbus. Heine Mukhtar, Ricky Puig. Ricky Puig. And they just brought in Joseph Pencil.
If Ricky Puig finishes above of Suarez, Messi, and Busquets in the top 5 of the MLS best players, I'll be shook. Even Mukhtar, I'll be shook. I know he's an MLS legend, but come on, the greatness of these 3 players, I think, will be shown for one season at least.
But Busquets did show his limitations last season. This is not a knock on Sergio Busquets at his prime. But, it is not as simple as saying that Busquets on one leg is the best midfielder.
He was
in
the
MLS,
best midfielder
right?
in League's Cup. Busquets.
In League's Cup.
I think he will be.
I'm with you there.
I think it will be. And I think
there.
Busquets will definitely be the best defensive mid in the MLS next season. I'm going to say definitely. Because I think he's the best defensive mid ever in the history of football. But I could be wrong. Yeah. One last season. Let us know down below what you agree or disagree. What's going to be the top 5 in the MLS? Go bold in the comment section. We will answer all of the comments, people. And don't forget to like this video for more videos just like this. Episode 144. We had some solid topics. But let us know the next topics that you want to see in our next podcast. 145, that's a special number, 145. Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much for listening until now, Bretson. People. And thank you, Bretson, for doing another podcast going bold. Anytime.